2013, a few months after Zamboanga siege, I was privileged to join the disaster team to put up child-friendly spaces and conduct psychosocial activities among children. Mga batang Tausug, Maguindanao, Badjao, and even Christians. During my short engagement na sa Mampang Transitory Shelter, one of the 7 transitory sites sa city, our team overheard an incident on what they called Tira 20, where you have just to pay 20 pesos and you can have sex with young girls. Indeed, the rumor was confirmed when I saw a news a few weeks after. And this kind of story is familiar, especially after disasters where people are starving, so much stress, and no sign of hope for the future. Kapit no sa patalim, ika nga. And in times of calamities, children are the most vulnerable sector in the society. Vulnerable to any form of abuse and exploitation. Example of those are human trafficking, sex trafficking, or even child trafficking. It is true, primary duty of parents is to make sure that their children are safe and protected. That is according sa Civil Code and Family Code. In addition, according to our 1987 Constitution, Article 15, Section 3, Number 2, it states there that the state shall defend the right of children to assistance, including proper care and nutrition, and special protection from all forms of neglect, abuse, cruelty, and exploitation, and other condition prejudicial to their development. That is why Republic Act 10821 is very essential for the protection of children before, during, and after disaster. RA 10821 was signed by former President Benigno S. Aquino III on May 18, 2016. RA 10821, also known as Children's Emergency Relief and Protection Act. It is an act mandating the provision of emergency relief and protection for children before, during, and after disasters and other emergency situations. It is said that the state is to protect the fundamental rights of children before, during, and after disasters and other emergency situations when children are gravely threatened or endangered by circumstances that affect their survival and normal development. And of course, with the guiding principles consistent with the UN Convention on Rights of the Child nga survival, protection, development, and participation. Not only to protect the rights of the children, but also the state no shall establish and implement a comprehensive and strategic program of action to provide the children and the pregnant and the lactating mothers affected by disasters and other emergency situations when utmost support and assistance necessary for their immediate recovery and protection against all forms of violence, cruelty, discrimination, neglect, abuse, exploitation, and other acts prejudicial to other interests, survival, development, and well-being. We have here the definition of terms. No, when we talk about child, no, it always refer for those person below 18 years old or kahit above 18 years old na sila, but they are unable to take care of themselves or protect themselves from abuse, from neglect, cruelty, exploitation, or discrimination because of physical or mental disability or condition. Child with special needs. This refers sa mga kabataan with developmental or physical disability. Child-friendly spaces or tinatawag natin na CFS. No, this refer sa mga spaces where communities create nurturing environments for children to engage in free and structured play, recreation, leisure, and learning activities. The child-friendly space may provide health, nutrition, and psychosocial support and other services or activities which will restore their normal functioning. Transitional shelter naman, or in other term is transitory sites, refers to structures temporarily constructed by the government intended for families affected by a disaster while awaiting transfer to permanent shelters. So nandun sila, temporarily, na for the specific period of time until na matransfer sila sa permanent na location nila. Unaccompanied children naman refers to children who have been separated from both parents and other relatives and who are not being cared for by an adult. Orphans or orphaned children, those children who do not have family and relatives who can assume responsibility for their care. Separated children, those children na separate from both parents or from their previous legal or usual primary caregiver but not necessarily from other relatives, and as a result this may include children accompanied by other family members. How about state of calamity? State of calamity is referred to a condition involving mass casualty and or major damages to property, disruption of means of livelihoods, roads, and normal way of life of people in the affected areas as a result of occurrence of natural or human-induced hazard. So ang question is, who can declare state of calamity? Under sa RA 10121, the National Council recommends to the President, and it can also lifted through the recommendation then sa local disaster risk reduction management council. So bakit naman why state calamity need to be declared? It is necessary so that funds, yung mga pondo will be reprogrammed or ma-realign yung budget nila for the repair and safety upgrade sa mga damages, control sa mga overpricing, hoarding of essential commodities, and of course this is the time as well where international humanitarian assistance may come in. Civil registry documents refers to all certificates, application forms, and certified true copies of legal instruments and court decrees concerning the acts and events affecting the civil status of persons which are presented before the civil registrar and are recorded in the civil registry. CSO or Civil Society Organization defined in Republic Act 10121 or the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction Management Act 2010 refers to non-state actors whose aims are neither to generate profits nor to seek governing power, such as non-government organizations, professional associations, foundation, independent research institutes, community-based organization, faith-based organization, people's organization, social movements, and labor unions which are organized based on ethical, cultural, scientific, religious, or philanthropic conditions. Disasters naman refers to a serious disruption of the functioning of community or a society involving widespread human, material, economic, or environmental losses and impacts, which exceeds the ability to the affected community and society to cope using its own resources. Disaster impacts may include loss of life, injury, disease, and other negative effects on human physical, mental, and social well-being, together with damage of property, destruction of assets, loss of services, social, economic disruption, and environmental degradation. Emergency refers to unforeseen or sudden occurrence, especially danger, demanding immediate action as defined in Republic Act 10121. Hazard, no, may pagkakaiba, no, ang hazard at saka disaster. No, ang hazard refers to a dangerous phenomenon, substance, human activity or condition that may cause of life, injury or other health impacts, property damage, loss of livelihood and services, social and economic disruption or environmental damage. Family tracing and reunification refers to the process where disaster response teams reunite families, no, separated by natural and human catastrophes by bringing together the child and family or previous care provider for the purpose of establishing or reestablishing long-term care. So yun po, no, ang ating mga definition of terms according sa Republic Act number 10821. So kanina, this is not only to protect the rights of children, but again, this is also to establish and implement. So ito na po yung comprehensive emergency program for children. So ano at sino ang responsible dito? So the DSWD, no, will formulate a CEPC or comprehensive emergency program for children. Ang pangalan po nila dito is program, no, in consideration, no, with the minimum humanitarian standards. So yung humanitarian standards, no, is yung water supply, sanitation and hygiene, or tinatawag natin na WASH, food security, and nutrition, shelter and settlement, and health. So ito yung mga dapat present, no, sa as they establish this program. So bakit, no? And this program will now be used as basis in handling disasters to protect children, pregnant and lactating mothers, and support their immediate recovery. How? So in what way DSWD shall engage all relevant government agencies and stakeholders for the implementation of the program. And LGU naman, the local government units shall integrate the same in their development and local disaster risk reduction and management plans and budget. And so the program as well must be gender sensitive. So ito yung mga program nila. Number 1, components ng program is first is the establishment of evacuation centers. So the LGU, no, shall establish and identify safe locations and evacuation centers for children and families subject to the limitations found in Section 5 of this Act. Number 2, no, establishment of transitional shelters for orphaned, separated, and unaccompanied children. So the NHA shall, in coordination with DSWD, DENR, DPWH, DILG, and LGU of the area declared under state of calamity, immediately establish an option for transitional shelters, prioritizing vulnerable and marginalized groups, including orphaned, separated, and unaccompanied children, and pregnant and lactating mothers. So yung bago na mga transitional shelters, may mga consideration din sila, no? So dapat yung area or yung location at saka yung shelter, so dapat gender specific. May mga latrines, no? Gender specific emergency latrines, may bathing cubicles and hand washing facilities, especially designed for children, and it shall provide mother and child friendly spaces no, where children can take part in child activities. It shall also have provisions, no, for maternal and newborn and infant care, and rooms to protect, to feed, and provide personal care, and ensure the right to privacy. So ito po yung mga dapat i-consider, no, na mga LGUs at sa mga responsible agency ng government, no, before or if they will to put up sa bagong at transitory shelters. Assurance for immediate delivery of basic necessities and services, no, number 3 na po yan. No, the program, no, shall facilitate and ensure the immediate delivery of basic necessities and services specifically required by affected children in different stages of development, such as access to basic health services, food, water, nutrition, medicines, clothing, sanitary and hygiene kits, and other emergency needs such as blankets, mosquito nets, cookingware, and flashlights. Now, the program also shall give priority to the specific health and nutrition needs of pregnant women, lactating mothers, newborn babies, children under 5 years old, and children with special needs. Number 4, so stronger measures to ensure the safety and security of affected children. Under the program as well, no, the PNP, the Philippine National Police, in coordination with AFP, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the DSWD, DILG, LGU, DepEd, CHED, and CSO in the community, they shall monitor and ensure the safety and the security of the affected children in the areas declared under a state of calamity, and shall protect them against all forms of abuse and exploitation. So si PNP naman, si DSWD, and with the assistance of AFP and local council against trafficking and violence against women and children, immediately, no, they will heighten the measures and monitoring, no, to prevent child trafficking, labor, prostitution, domestic and sexual violence. LGU will establish the Barangay VAUSI Desk. So the VAUSI Desk shall serve as one of the key reporting and referral mechanism for cases of violence, abuse, and exploitation of children in the area affected. So kung may mga concern on violence, protection against women and children, so itong Barangay VAUSI Desk, no, will surely help sa reporting at saka referral mechanism sa mga cases. Panglima na components is delivery of health, medical, and nutrition services. Under the program, the Department of Health, in coordination with the DSWD, LGU, and CSO in the community, shall provide the health, medical, and nutritional needs of children in the areas declared under the state of calamity, including psychosocial interventions for children in different stages of development. So dapat din, no, may mga regular na mga medical check-ups, giving of medicines and vitamins, and next is dapat din, no, may mga feeding program sa mga kabataan. Pang-anim na components, plan of action for prompt resumption educational services of children. So the DepEd, Department of Education, in coordination with DSWD and DILG and the concerned LGUs, shall ensure the prompt resumption of educational services for all children, including early childhood care and development for children age below 5 years old. Pang-pito na component, establishment of child-friendly spaces. So the concerned LGU shall set up child-friendly spaces in every city or municipality declared under a state of calamity as needed, based on guidelines to the promulgated by the DSWD. In addition, LGU shall coordinate with the lead agencies and CSO to effectively respond to the needs of the children in the area. And of course, itong child-friendly spaces shall be made available throughout a crisis from emergencies to recovery. So, hindi lang siya dapat like 1 week or 1 month after the disaster, no, andun lang ang child-friendly spaces, but all throughout sa crisis, from emergencies hanggang sa recovery. 8. Promotion of children's rights. No, the program shall include activities and processes that will promote and uphold the rights of children by first is providing child-centered training for all responders. Then second is that to ensure that children are provided with adequate access to age-appropriate information on their roles and responsibilities and those of government agencies before, during, and after disaster and other emergency situations. Third is to provide an effective mechanism for training and meaningful participation of children in community disaster risk reduction program. And fourth is consulting with the affected children on their needs and priorities for post-disaster relief and recovery. So may consultation, no, sa mga kabataan, because we believe na their voices is mattered, na yung plano is not only for them but also we plan with them. Section 5 of this act is evacuation center. Only in cases where there is no other available place or structure which can be used as general evacuation center, may a school or child development center be used as evacuation center. When a school or child development center is used as an evacuation center, gymnasiums, learning and activity centers, auditoriums, and other open spaces shall be utilized first. So ang classrooms shall only be used as a last resort, and the use of the school premises shall be brief as possible. If the use is predicted to exceed 15 days, so ang paggamit nila ay lumampas sa 15 days, so yung affected LGU shall provide written documentation to the DepEd and the LGU on the following. No, ito po yung mga ilagay nila na mga information. So name and location sa school, all alternative sites and proposal for final site selection, and measures being implemented to prevent interference or disruption to the school and educational activities of children, and other particulars to be provided in the implementing rules and regulation of this act. So dapat, no, may coordination and communication din, no, sa LGU doon sa DepEd at DILG if the calamity, no, or yung gagamitin na school ay lalampas sa 15 days. Section 6, yung orphaned and unaccompanied or separated children. So the DSWD, upon consultation with relevant agencies, shall develop a minimum set of standards and guidelines for the family tracing reunification system of orphan, unaccompanied, and separated children. Orphaned children, unaccompanied, or separated children whose families or relatives cannot be found or assessed to be incapable of providing proper care and protection shall be placed in a licensed accredited residential care facility or with a foster family in accordance with Article 140 of the Child and Youth Welfare Code, or a community-based center. A registered social worker naman shall provide the needed case management and intervention. Section 7 of this act is System of Restoring Civil Registry Documents to ensure that vital information pertaining to the personal circumstances of a child are adequately protected and available at all times. The Philippine Statistics Authority shall develop a system for the restoration and reconstruction of civil registry documents that have been destroyed or declared lost or missing during a disaster or calamity. The PSA shall submit a report on a number of restored or reconstructed documents to appropriate government agencies for effective monitoring and reporting, and to ensure the continued access of affected children to social services and facilitate the reunification of separated children with their families. And last is the PSA shall likewise develop a system for the registration of children born during a national or local state of calamity. Section 8 of this Act, Training of Emergency Responders on Child Protection. The National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council shall promote and conduct a child responsive training program for all responders in the calamity area, such as community and barangay leaders, community members, school personnel, and other rescuers. The training program shall include the following. First is proper procedures and measures to assess the situation, safeguard and protect the affected children during and after emergencies and disasters. And second is to appropriate training psychosocial interventions for the children in different stages of development who are victims of calamity. Section 9 of this Act is data gathering, monitoring, and reporting. The agencies mandated by this Act shall monitor and report on the implementation of services under the program to be submitted jointly to Congress annually. So the report shall include a specific section on pregnant women and children under 5 years of age as a strategy to address the post-disaster nutrition needs of children under 5 years old and pregnant women. In collection and reporting data, it shall be disaggregated by age, gender, ethnicity, and special needs in order to understand and respond better to the needs of children affected by calamities. Within 5 days from the declaration of national state of calamity or as soon as practicable, the DSWD and the DILG shall jointly submit written documentation and report on their surveillance and monitoring under Section 4D to the appropriate committees, Senate, and House of Representatives. Last section, Section 10 of this Act, is appropriation. So the amount necessary for the initial implementation of this Act shall be charged against the current appropriations of the DSWD, Office of Civil Defense, DepEd, DOH, Department of National Defense, and Philippine Statistics Authority. Thereafter, the amount needed for the continued implementation of this Act shall be included in the Annual General Appropriation Act. For LGU, the implementation of the program shall be charged against the Local Disaster Risk Reduction Management Fund, or LDRRMF. So this is the Republic Act 10821.